Okay, hello, alright. We are back again for some Cursed Site. Alright, last time we left off, we were going to make a decision. Now, we haven't really had any decisions throughout this one, so I feel that this is going to play a major role in whatever outcome we might end up having for the ending. So, we basically have here, we can keep hiding, or we can stop hiding. It's basically like a 50-50 split here. So, we have a save here, so if we decide to go back, it's an easy way of going back because there really hasn't been that many decisions to make. So, since I've been keeping saves after every recording we've had, this one's, as far as I remember, it's the only time we've had a choice. So, we'll make our choice, we'll have to stick with it, and maybe if I decide to make another video if there's for the possibility of multiple endings, I believe there are. I think there might be. A lot of visual novels do. So, let's make a choice here. Now, it's a 50-50 choice. What to pick? We can either continue to try to hide, or to stop hiding. But the question is, what will they do if we stop hiding? Will they give up? Will they run? That's the big question. And I think I am going to choose the option of stop hiding. I'm going to see what happens here for the stop hiding. It could be a multitude of options here, but I really don't want a sad ending. I mean, these girls are pretty nice, and just don't want to actually see one die. That would really suck. I don't want to see this girl die, man. We find out that she's Guy's sister. Well, Guy ran off and all that other stuff. It's emotional if she died. So, let's see what happens here. We're out of time, I said. You might hate me for saying this, but we need to go back. Mion opened her mouth as if wanting to argue, yet no words came out. This felt no different from handcuffing a loved one and sending her back into prison, but I must follow through as further resistance might put us all at risk. A dozen soldiers emerged from behind the trees. They sprinted in our direction like they had found their prize in a game show. I wanted to start running again, just to see their beer guts sweat. The guards formed a circle around us, and the one with the most badges on his shoulder plates stepped forward. "You're coming home, Mion." Put a hand out in front of Mion, but she pulled it back and shook her head. The guards, I probably looked about as intimidating as a grasshopper wearing boxing gloves. Another soldier rubbed his chin as he looked at Zolu. "What's the treasure of Westargia doing here?" A third soldier sneered. "Bringing her head to the king would earn us a nice holiday bonus." "Please don't kill her. I don't want her to die." The commanding soldier smacked his underling across the head. "Fool! She is much more valuable to us alive." Zulu hid behind me as the guard extended his hand toward her. "Sorry, sister, but I stood no chance against these soldiers. I have better luck mimicking a wolf's cry and seeing if some of them might rock up to your aid." The guard grabbed a handful of my shirt and tossed me aside like food wrapper. As he began to coil his fingers around Zolu's head, a figure leaped out from behind a tree. The soldier sprang back and unsheathed his blade. Tears streaked down Zulu's face as Neek stepped in between her and the commanding guard. "Oh, so Neek decided to come back here?" "You can always count on me," Neek said, peering over his shoulder at Zulu. "My word is gold." The guard snickered as Neek pulled out his sword with trembling hands. His legs jittered so much I thought he might start an earthquake. Rather than putting on a deep voice to sound cool, Neek stayed true to himself for once. "Right now, you look brave enough to take on anything. Perhaps even those baby birds you feared so much." The commanding guard brandished his blade. "Go on home before you cut yourself, kid." With a yelp, Neek swung his sword at the soldier. The two blades clashed, causing the guard to stumble back. Either the goddesses had smiled upon Neek, or he actually knew something about combat. Whatever the case, there might be hope for us after all. That dream vanished when a second guard snuck in and slashed Neek across the back, spilling his blood all over the grass. Oh no, is Neek gonna die here? Neek! Neek! Zulu screamed as Neek crumbled into a pool of his own blood. I covered her veil despite knowing it was too late. Zulu tried to break free of my hold, but with the guards ready to take her hostage, I held her back even if she might curse me for it. I stared at Neek's body, praying to spot at least an inch of motion. His body no longer heaved to draw breath. My knees buckled as I knew beyond doubt that I was looking at a corpse. One by one, the guards shifted their eyes toward me. The commander spoke on their behalf. "It's you who's caused us all this trouble. There's no need to wait for a sentence. We'll cut you down here and now." Oh shit, they're gonna fucking kill Guy! Those words sapped away my strength, causing me to lose grip of Zolu. She jumped in front of me and spread her arms as if trying to scare the guards away. At that moment, my heart accepted her as my one and only sister. It just came a little too late. I pulled Zolu back and squeezed my eyes shut. At least let me act like an older brother in my final moments by telling Mion to return. I had already signed my death sentence. It wouldn't be something if Mion jumped in front of him when they came and ended up killing Mion. That would really suck. But these guards, if that happened, these guards would all be basically on their death sentence. I don't think the king would be very happy in that case. "Enough!" Mion cried. Everyone, including guards, spun to face her. She had been so quiet that I thought she might have snuck away during the commotion. Mion picked up Neek's blood-soaked blade and pointed its tips at her throat. "If you hurt him, I'll kill myself right here. Try explaining that to King Locke." The guards gathered to discuss this matter. After a brief exchange, the commander sheathed his blade. "Have it your way." Mion dropped the sword and hurried over to me. Zolu, meanwhile, collapsed onto her knees beside Neek's corpse. "Come with us. I'll make sure they keep you safe," Mion said, but Zolu shook her head. When I offered Zolu a hand, she shook her head again, this time more vigorously. "We're going back to East Taria," Mion said to the guards. "If any of you touch Zolu, I'll take off this veil and doom you all with my curse." That threat made even the guards shudder. I was in no mood to rub it in their face, though. In all these years, not once had I seen Mion use her power to scare others. It must have pained her to have broken that record. Muttering under his breath, the commander strutted off with his henchmen in tow. Our lives have been spared for now, at least. As far as we know, it looks like Neek is dead. And it's kind of sad for all three, actually, but definitely for her. Because they were a lot closer than, the other two. I mean, we've only known them for a few I think, how long have they been gone? A couple weeks? As Mion and I followed, I glanced back at Zolu, who remained on her knees by Neek's side. Wolves might snatch her for dinner if she stayed here, but that could be merciful compared to whatever schemes Locke had plotted for her. I considered dragging Zolu with us just so I could keep her by my side like a pet. Some kind of brother I was. I should be the last person to steal away her long overdue freedom. In the end, I left Zolu be and trailed the guards back to East Taria. Please, sister. Do everything in your power to survive. They left her there? They left her there? That's what I'm coming to the conclusion of at the moment. So they just decided to leave her. I hope she doesn't get eaten by wolves or anything. Most of the lanterns that once lit Melody Way had been sliced apart, leaving the village in darkness. I should be grateful as these shadows spared me from having to see the corpses strewed about town. Too bad that stench of decay still burned my nostril. Guards ahead lit torches to illuminate the path before them. One of the soldiers gazed back at me on. "East Taria's in this shape because you ran off. I hope you're pleased with yourself." It might just be that the torchlight playing tricks, but I thought the guard's eyes flared as he says those words. A man doing his day job to pay the bills could never look this fierce. Perhaps he had lost a loved one to the war. I almost forgot these guards had families too. Though Mion said nothing to the guard, I saw her hands trembling. She stared at her shoes as they shrugged along, as if shamed as she had been this bad slave to her people. The villagers muttered to one another while they strode past. Their feet barely left the ground as they walked, making them look more like ghosts than people. I recalled that time when some brats hurled rocks at Mion, but tonight, nobody even said a word to her. Well, I mean, she ran off, you guys. Maybe should have treated her a little bit better. When you think about it, some people hated her. Maybe this is a time to think back on everything you have seen. I mean, if this, this whole city pretty much has gone to ruins because she has left. Maybe everyone will learn that maybe she kept the city prosperous was the one. I mean, I don't know the full extent of her abilities, but maybe she was the one who they relied way too much on her. That's actually a bad thing when you think about it. You rely too much on one thing, you lose that one thing, and your prosperity goes down the hill. We returned into our prison at last. Unlike Melody Way, the temple seemed unfazed by this war. Big surprise that Log could care for himself or his people. If Sasa was alive, we would at least have one reunion to look forward to. Without her, I almost regretted not provoking those soldiers into cutting me apart like fish fillet. We tailed the guards up to the entrance of Mion's room. After throwing the doors open, the commander shoved Mion inside, forcing her onto her knees. I squirmed past the guard to try and reach Mion, but one of them pinned me by the arm. The king wants to have a word with you. With Mion locked in her room, the guards could keep her on suicide watch. I thought that would single my doom, but the king let me keep my head. Not out of mercy, mind you. He just needed me around to tape Mion's spirit in place. Lok gave me a lecture long enough to put a scholar to sleep. By the time he dismissed me, the sun had already set. As I bowed at the king for sparing my life, I imagined stitching his mouth together so he could never speak again. After leaving the throne room, I headed straight for Mion to let her know I had survived. I counted at least 10 guards as I trotted past the corridors. They all frowned at me as if disappointed the king had let me live. A couple of guards barred the entrance to Mion's room. I stepped out of the way too slowly and I bumped into their shoulders as I stomped by. Lok had decided to keep me around. These fools could do nothing about it. I pulled the 2 doors open one at a time. As soon as I walked in, Mion ran up to me. King forgave you? I nodded. Guess I got off lucky. Mion tugged at my shirt and exhaled in relief. At least one person in this temple cared for my well-being. Without her, I would have been locked away in an asylum long ago. Suddenly, Mion gasped, and I knew she must have noticed. I pulled my left arm back, but she seized my wrist and forced me to show her the bloody bandaged stump that had replaced my hand. Shit, man. So they didn't let you off. They cut your hand off? Fuck, man. They didn't leave you... Well, the king apparently didn't leave you off anything. Oh, I'm just imagining he just cut his freaking hand off. Ow, that must have been painful. You know, they probably didn't have any anesthetic or gave him anything. He probably just has this stump, and you never know, he might die. I mean, you gotta think of the time frame they're in, medicine and all that stuff. I mean, if you get sick from it, infected, it's a possibility of dying. That really sucks, man. He's still alive, but ugh. Guy, the king? The way Mion's voice cracked made my heart splinter. Guy. Seeing Mion wail like this almost hurt me, like having that soul come down on my hand just hours ago. I wrapped her arm around her back, and with my other hand, I wanted to stroke her hair, but I realized that hand was no more. Really, I got off lucky, I said. It doesn't even hurt anymore, so stop crying, okay? Right after saying that, the wound sent a sharp pain up my spine as if to sheen me for lying. I squinted my eyes and blobs of tears came rolling out. A guard outside opened the door just wide enough for him to peek in. No more freedom, even within these four walls of Mion's room. This temple used to feel like a prison, and now it had actually turned into one. Doing daily chores with one hand proved to be pretty tough, but compared to Mion being forced to support the war, my struggles deserved no pity. Even when the wounds stung enough to make me cry, I gritted my teeth and fought on. Besides, the other servants always backed me up whenever I fell behind. They had been saying things like, "Mion's become so much nicer since she came back. What did you do?" Some of the other servants instead grumbled whenever I walked by. They probably faulted me for taking Mion away in the first place. Maybe I should be fair and guide them into the forest, and send their sorry behinds into a pack of wolves. As the sun descended, I went to pay Mion a visit. Like always, she came up to me the second I opened the doors. "How are you feeling today?" Mion asked. I could almost see her frowning through that veil. Before I could answer, she pressed me down on my knees and started to massage my shoulders. Massage felt more like a tickle, but the fact that these were Mion's hands eased away my strain. I knew she did all this out of guilt, yet I never managed to talk her out of it. These days, I no longer even tried because, well, I did kind of enjoy having a girl pat me to sleep during my afternoon naps. And they've gotten pretty close, I think. You know, it's basically him, the only one that really he has, someone who cares for him. And, the same thing for Mion. The only person really in this world who actually cares for him is him. I mean, you think about it, they're kind of lovers in a way. It's just, they've never actually kissed or anything, but they've spent a lot of time, and I would assume they know a lot about each other as well. Mion had opened up so much that I worried the other servants or even guards might become interested in her. I would fight them all in a cage at the same time if they dared touch her. Well, maybe after I attached a chainsaw to my left arm. As I said before, some of the dialogue doesn't make sense for the time setting. I think the writing could have been done a little bit better by keeping in mind what kind of setting you have when you use the dialogue to explain things. I understand what they're trying to say, but I don't think it fits the setting. Any weapon would certainly look more presentable than the stump I had. When that saw came down on my hand, it had chopped off a chunk of my courage as well. Otherwise, I swore to Sasa's spirit that I would have confessed my feelings to Mion. Oh. Confessed his feelings to Mion. So I think he really does like her in a, romantic way. He has feelings for her. Which is kind of funny when you look at it. He started at the beginning not really liking her. They started off on a bad foot. And now they've come to pretty much care for each other. But it also makes sense. I mean, it's the only two people. And I think Sasa had a major role in it. She had a major role of connecting the two. Without her, I don't think it would have ever changed. Sasa was the pillar that connected these two people, if you want to call it that, or whatever you want to call it. The glue that kind of binded them and continues to bind them in a way. Even after she was gone, they still stayed connected, you could say, and everything. It would be really nice if it actually became fruitful to something. They actually, one of them, either him or her, actually, and said, I think I love you. Or they actually kissed or something. Another evening of chores came to an end. I headed into Mion's room, hoping to receive a massage before calling it a night, but her room was empty. Well, save for a tiny spider in the ceiling that made me flee to the corridor when I bumped into a patrolling guard. "You look like you've seen a ghost. Nice try, kiddo. I don't believe in the spirit stuff, the guard said, but his cross necklace and bracelet told me he very much did believe in that spirit stuff. Mion's not in her room, I said. Is she on toilet break or something? The guard shook his head. I never saw her leave the room. He pulled out his cross necklace, pointed it at the doors, and mumbled a chant under his breath. No, where is she? I frowned at the guard. What? You think a ghost kidnapped her? The guard ignored my question and continued to chant. Jeez, why pick the night shift if you were this paranoid? I strode off to search around the temple. Locke no longer allowed Mion to wander around, but she must have bribed the guards with cookies or something, I told myself. Did she run off? Did someone come? What the hell happened? Is she being kidnapped? Oh, questions. Or is she like with Locke or something? Searched room after room, without result. My heart rate quickened along with my pace. The male toilets. No way. I tried the female ones next, but heard screams as soon as I poked my head in. A bucket flew out and hit me on the head before I could retreat. I found plenty of beetles crawling around the temple at night, but not even a glimpse of Mion. Maybe she was hiding in a closet somewhere. About as likely as Locke handing out chocolate, but I should still do another search. Just as I was about to start, a guard came running toward me. The king summoned us to his chamber. Be there at once. The guard ran off to spread the news, affording me no time to ask what was up. By the time I arrived in Locke's room, most of the guards and servants from the temple had already gathered. Locke had never summoned us this late into the night before. Whatever the news was, he needed us to know right away. The audience usually liked to whisper their speculations, but tonight, no one dared to speak a word. Don't tell me. No, Mion couldn't have just died or something, or maybe she's sick, really sick or something. And that's why you don't see her in there. Maybe she's held up in a different room somewhere that you don't know about. With the doctor. Locke cleared his throat, even though he already had all of our attention. A letter has arrived from Westaria. Our treasure has been stolen. So she was basically kidnapped. I thought you had guards out. How did you not, notice? Well, the audience broke into concerned mutters. Locke lifted his head and the crowd settled once more. Guy, step forward, Locke said, and everyone turned toward me. Well, those who knew me by name anyway. My heart was already beating fast enough without their stares. I wormed through the crowd and presented myself to the king. Hopefully he doesn't just, because she's gone now, and hopefully he doesn't just say, Guy, I want to fucking kill you now. You're gonna be dead, dude. Since she's no longer here, you're dead. I hope that's not the case. Are you responsible for this? Locke asked. I shook my head so hard I thought my neck might snap. Locke leaned forward and gazed straight at me. Even through the curtain, I could feel his eyes peering through my soul in an attempt to unveil any lies. Locke leaned back against his chair. Westaria summoned you to meet their queen. Alone. So, Guy has been summoned? The audience began to chatter again, and I could tell they suspected I had played a role in Mion's kidnapping. The first one, yes. This time, truth to the goddess, I had no idea. Locke pounded a fence against his armrest. Which one of you was on duty to protect our treasure? Soldiers traded looks to try and dump the blame on one another. They pushed out the guard I had been talking to before. That superstitious one with charms all over his body. Uh-oh, dude. Those charms I don't think are going to protect you now. He's probably going to say off with your head, man. The paranoid guard dropped onto his hands and knees before Locke. I swear I never took my eyes off those doors. Please, have mercy. Locke ignored him and pointed at a couple of guards in the corner. You two. Escort Guy to Westaria at once. 2 guards bowed in acknowledgement and made their exit. Move it, Locke said, looking right at me. take back our treasure, or never show your face here again. So basically, if you don't return with her, don't return at all, man. That's basically what he's saying. So he never wants to see you in this area again. If you don't return with her, or she returns without you, and she gets back in a different way, they get her in a different way, yeah, he's probably basically saying you're dead. Show your face here, you're gone. Doesn't matter what Mion says, you're dead. Basically, no second chances, man. Right, because I was totally going to miss this place. And I might even send you some souvenirs from Westaria. Look. With a nod, I followed my 2 escorts out of the temple. They could have at least asked if I needed to pee before we left. To be fair, if I needed to visit the loo, I would have chosen to wet myself instead. Every second I wasted meant more time for those Westarians to abuse me on. The rain patted against the guard's armor plates. Meanwhile, the droplets soaked my shirt and pants, making me shiver. At least that rain seemed to be slowing down. If not, I might catch a cold by the time I reach Westaria. While we passed Melody Way, the guards bought some booze for the road as if they were on a trip. I knew these buffoons would show their true colors once they left the temple. As we walked through the forest, the guards took a break every half an hour to sip on their bottles and argue over who the sexiest servant in the temple was. The sexiest servant in the temple was. Oh, who do you think looks the hottest in that temple? Which one of those slave girls do you think is the hottest? I could have sworn I had seen both of these guards with their wives and kids before. Damn lowlifes. If anything happened to Mion, I vowed I would have come back and smashed bottles over these guys' head. Their brains already seemed damaged beyond repair anyway. The sun rose from beneath the horizon, bathing the earth in an orange glow, and at last, we had arrived at Westaria. You're on your own now, kid, one of the guards said. He and his partner spun around before strolling back into the forest. Fair enough, since the Westarians didn't ask me to come alone, but still, I hope these guards ran into tigers on the way home. War had almost torn my birthplace beyond recognitions. Spears impaled the towering trees that had watched over me as a baby. The flowers that once freshed the air here had long since withered. Only the warm weather managed to remain untouched. This place too used to have stalls lining both sides of the street, but only a few of them remained open now. With body bags piled along the road, I doubted anyone was in the mood to shop. This place had the same stench of death as East Taria. In fact, the smell seemed worse here than in the east. With Mion's return to East Taria, the war must have swung back in Locke's favor. Did that mean Zolu never made it back here in West? Oh, that would suck. Did she, continue hiding out? Did she die? Did she return? Well, I guess we might find out. With Mion in my thoughts, I had forgotten to keep an eye out for Zulu in the forest. Maybe she had been living there this whole time. Sister, wherever you were, please be safe. As I walked along the street, the villagers eyed my East Tarian garbs from top to bottom. At least nobody threw tomatoes at me. In fact, some of them even said hello, but in small voices. Sort of like their greetings, I only managed nods in return. Times like these, hearing a good morning felt like receiving a bag of gold. These Tarians rarely greeted each other, let alone say hello to anyone from other nations. I sensed a touch of pride for being a Westarian native. The second I reached the temple, a Westarian guard marched out to greet me. You must be Guy. I nodded, and the guard led the way as I followed him inside. Even the soldiers here made my legs shake less than those East Tarian ones. The flower patterns on their uniforms might have helped, I must admit. Oh, is this the queen? They kind of made a theme overall. West Taria blue, East Taria red, and it's pretty much they even did hair color. The guard escorted me to a porch where a tall woman sat with a teacup in her hand. Since the soldier bowed before making his leave, I figured this must be the Queen of Westaria. Queen Hydriana, I believe her name was. Hydriana wore a flower hairpin rather than a crown, but her floor-draped dress indicated her status well enough. Even the chair she sat on had gold flowers carved into its frame. Those other seats around the table looked just as glamorous. There's no need to act foreign, Hadrian said. Never before had I heard syllabus in a sentence pronounced as precisely. Despite the queen's beauty, I noticed signs of wear on her skin under her eyes. With her nation in peace, I bet she had been losing plenty of sleep. A familiar set of footsteps sounded to my rear. I turned, just in time to see Mion running up to me. If we were alone on the porch, I so would have hugged her right now. I looked her up and down to check for injuries. Mion patted me on the arm. I'm fine, then in a smaller voice. Sorry to make you worry. Adriana chuckled as she pat down her teacup. What the hell? You really are as cute as Mion said. She's been talking about you non-stop since she got here. No blushing, Mion reached for my arm with 2 fingers, looking like she wanted to pinch me, but Adriana's presence must have made her hesitate, and she changed the subject instead. I came here by will, Guy. So you came here because you wanted to, so you ran away. That's what it sounds like. She ran away. Maybe she came up with a plan of some sort. Adriana nodded. I sent over our best spy to snatch Mion from your temple. A desperate gamble, truth be told. If Mion had resisted, we most definitely would have failed. Okay, so she kind of ran away. She wouldn't, so it wasn't her idea. So they had a spy come over there. And they were going to try to kidnap her. But she basically was like, hey, I'm going to come along, okay? You don't need to hurt me. I'll come along with free will. You don't need to get all noisy and everything. I'll help you get out of here, out of the rest of the way out of the city, and then we can all go on our way. I came here to see Zolu, Mion said. She's here? I tugged Mion's sleeve, but she turned her head away, so I looked to Hadriana for answers instead. The queen rose from her seat. Let me take you to her. She's dead? Did she kill herself? No. Sister's fucking dead? Oh, that's kind of sad. Sad, man. Sucks. I wonder if she killed herself. You know, you always hear about the whole entire thing, you know, when your lover dies. What else reasons do you have? And in a way, I would say that dude was kind of her lover, when you think about it. That sucks. Well, Zolu had indeed returned home, and with Neek, too. The fact that their graves rested side by side served as my only comfort. Our soldiers found both of their bodies in the forest, Hydrina said. Oh, so she didn't commit suicide. Well, basically, Zulu appeared to have passed from starvation, so she starved to death. So she just stayed at his body and just died. Oh, starvation. Oh, that was painful. I'm not gonna lie. I think if she just decided to kill herself, it'd probably been a lot less painful. Because it had been long, slow. Wouldn't she die from dehydration before starvation? That would have been painful, probably. Well, painful way of dying. You know, trying to kill herself probably would have been a lot quicker. And maybe even less painful. I don't know. There has to be a mistake, I said, when Mion stroked my back to try and calm me. I seized her by the shoulders. There's no way Zola would have starved. It's her who found that fish pond. You remember, right? Mion pressed her lips, looking too terrified to answer. Only then did I realize I had been shaking her. I let go and leaned against a pillar for support. The truth was, I'd asked Mion in hope that she'd make up a lie to cheer me up. Inside, I already knew Zulu must have starved herself to repent for Neek's death. Silly girl. Had she never considered how Neek would have feel about that? Sucks, man. I'm thinking, you know, as far as I could tell, she probably did it on purpose. She probably stayed at his body and basically wanted to die. This really does suck on him. It's also kind of like, you know, kind of late on the soldiers finding them. You know, if they found her sooner, they probably could have saved her. Or forced her, you know, to eat. Or tried to. For all we knew, she might have tried to kill herself then. But yeah, that sucks. He didn't even get a chance to really get to know his sister after re-meeting her, because she was only a baby when he left. And then they meet, and she's still young. She died pretty young. But I thought Zila to cherish herself. I thought I had passed the trial of being a Berg brother. So much for that theory. Damn it. Zulum never asked for this stupid curse. Three of us returned to the porch. Once we all sat, Adriana poured tea for Mion and I. Zolo's death have toppled the balance between our nations. Victory will now fall on whichever side Mion stands with. And that's why you kidnapped her, I said, almost wanting to knock over the tea Adriana had passed on to me. For all I knew, the drink may have been sprinkled with enough poison to kill a horse. Adriana showed us her palms as if to say she had nothing to hide. Vestaria had no interest in conquering the East. We only wished for the war to end. You and Mion are both welcome to remain here with us. Adriana sipped on her drink, and the tea all came from the same pot, so maybe there was no poison after all. If we faked Mion's death, King Log would lose the will to battle, Adriana said. Pardon my rudeness, but in a fair fight, he knows I'm the superior tactician. And what if we say no? I asked, expecting guards to march in and circle us with their spears. Adriana appeared unfazed and continued to drink her tea. If you decline, I'll set both you and Mion free. We've already made the mistake of imprisoning Zolu. I'll never allow such a thing to happen again. Log treated Mion like a tool, but he did keep her well protected. If I took her back now, the king might even give me a lump for rescuing his treasure. Though Adriana claimed she would let us go, she could change her mind or simply be lying. I gazed into the queen's eyes, hoping to catch some sign of deceit. Then again, if it was that easy, Karnars would have gone in instinct centuries ago. I don't think I'm supposed to say instinct. Is it? Instinct. Instinct? I don't know. Maybe that is a word that I'm trying to think of. It just sounds weird. Instinct. Mion turned toward me. Let me hear your thoughts, Guy. There is a question mark? What the hell is this question mark? So we can fake her death, go back, and what the hell is the question mark? There's a question mark. What the hell is this question mark? You know, in a way, I kind of want to just select this question mark, just to see what the hell happens. Why present me with the freaking question mark? Maybe the question mark is, we help them. Well, since there's more choices here, I think this is a great place to end this one off, and we'll make a choice. So we got fake death, go back. I will say I'm not going to do go back, so it's going to be either between this question mark or fake death. Just so you guys have a heads up. I'm not going to go back. No. I'm not going to go back. That's not going to be my choice. So we're either going to fake her death, or we're going to do whatever this question mark is. And I'm so tempted to go for the question mark, because it's a freaking question mark. Well, guys, I want to thank you for watching this. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you want to keep up to date on this and plenty of other series, feel free to subscribe. if you have not already done. So, in the description box, I will have a link to this game if you want to check it out yourself. And I will, I hope, seems like we're getting pretty close to getting done with this, so. For some reason, the ending seems like it's getting so close. Again, guys, I want to thank you for watching, and you all have a great day.